Moral Maze every Monday, or whenever we can get it on, really. We're not too strict about these things. And it's rather like Jihad Watch. I always say, I wish we could not do this. I wish there was just nothing to talk about, but there's always a lot to talk about. Lisa Globe joins us from Campaign Left Coalition. And the first one I want to discuss here, and I don't think this is specific to Moral Maze, although that's the catalyst for it. It should concern everyone. And that is former heads of state call on European Union to set up state surveillance of intolerant citizens.
Right.
So who defines who's intolerant and what intolerance is?
That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
And I think when it said in the sheet that you know, we don't have to be tolerant to intolerance, those who are intolerant. So I mean, this could, you know, result in criminal charges that are very vague, that nobody really knows about, that are you know, taken illegally, basically. So there's a lot of ramifications if something like that was passed.
Well, it's Orwell, it's Kafka, I mean, it's marvelous. The European Council on Tolerance and Reconciliation.
Yeah, and it describes it as anti-Semitic, anti-religious, and then it says homophobic and anti-feminism.
Yeah.
So I think those two are contradictory to a certain extent, because you're basically being anti-religious.
But they're not necessarily the same. A tolerance watchdog, and it's extremely worrying because there was a time when, I mean, certainly intelligence agencies would infiltrate the far left and the far right, the extremes of either side that may be a threat. And that's, I can entirely support that. And today they do the same with Islamic groups that may be a threat. Not if they're mainstream, but if they may be a threat. But so people who oppose same-sex marriage, people who think abortion might not be appropriate, people who believe that we should spread the word of Christianity, they are now falling under the purview and umbrella of intolerance. And it could work. Look, it could well be that the organizations you work for are being watched. I don't think that's absurd paranoia. It may well be that you're under some sort of surveillance.
Yeah, and that we could eventually be criminally charged because of some type of surveillance that was very vague and you know, could be misconstrued as to some kind of hate crime.
Yeah.
So it's definitely scary. But I mean, I think that most people who are working in our type of organization are willing to go to jail, or willing to sacrifice and not be threatened like that. So, but if it comes to that, I mean, what kind of a world are we going to live in if it actually becomes?
Well, that's the thing. It's not just activists. I mean, if you're an activist, there's a certain price you may have to pay, but it's ordinary people who just give an opinion.
Yep.
And that opinion is not fashionable. And it's one thing to say, I disagree with you and walk away, but now, and we've seen the beginnings of this with human rights commissions and people making remarks. You know, in England now, I mean, I don't know if people know about this, but the England soccer manager, who is one of probably the brightest football coaches, I mean, he's a gentleman. And he made a comment at half-time in a game. And it was a joke about monkeys and NASA, the space program, and monkeys in space. And someone said, I think that's racist. Half the team are black or of mixed race. The man doesn't have a racist bone in his body. He was talking about monkeys in the space program.
Yeah.
And suddenly he has to say, it's incredible. How people, I think you're intolerant. Oh.
27 of the member states of the EU, so anyone could be watched.
Amazing, quite amazing. We had this family, or some of them on the show, the Razuli family, the Iranian Muslim family, rather devout. The mother, who's a doctor, wears a hijab. Her English is poor. Her daughter was here. Lovely people. The story is fascinating. It's a victory, but within this victory, there are some worrying aspects. Tell us a story, please.
Well, basically, this Muslim couple, Razuli, went in to get a benign tumor removed, brain tumor.
From the father. From
the father, yep. Okay. And he ended up, you know, contracting ventriculitis and all these other sorts of brain defects, and so he was basically signaled as in a vegetative state. So the doctors wanted to remove life support from him. So they took it to the Supreme Court, and the ruling came out a few days ago. Justice Beverly McLaughlin said that, you know, doctors cannot, without the person's consent or the person who's in charge of that particular person's consent, remove life support. So a doctor's beliefs cannot be put on another patient.
Okay. I think we have a clip, which I'm calling for right now.
October 7, 2010, he went to the hospital by TTC to Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto to remove his benign brain tumor. He went to coma. He was in coma for 1 month. Doctors, after 2 or 3 weeks, they came to us that his condition is hopeless in terms of their perspective, and they wanted to withdraw him from life support. Honestly, my father is not a vegetative state people. His spirit is there. He is there. He can understand us. But from the first date, me and my family feel him that he is there.
I have to be careful what we say here legally, but he went in and he was okay. There was a certain potential problem, but he was okay. And then things seemed to go terribly wrong. In hospital, and we must remember his wife is a doctor. She's a doctor. This is Iran. Certainly was when they lived a very sophisticated country. The medical system, we're not speaking about qualifying in a third world country. And she said, I'm sorry, that there's great potential here for life and recovery. He's shown movements, and he's replicating things that she's doing. They want to kill him.
Yeah.
And when our Supreme Court, not a friend of the pro-life community,
Not at all.
says, no. But it's cost them a lot of money to fight for the life of their father and husband.
500,000, yeah.
$500,000 in legal fees.
Each side has to pay their own legal fees. So they go in to get a benign tumor removed, think it's nothing, and then end up with this huge case, want the doctors to remove life support, and try to save their father, and end up having to pay $500,000 because of it. So the very people who are there, who are supposed to help them and help the father, end up being their worst enemies in this case. So it is a positive ruling from the Supreme Court, but hopefully, a case because of this precedent doesn't happen again. And thankfully that, she was a doctor, because how many cases are there where, family members just listen to the doctors and say, yeah, let's remove life support. There is no hope when
you
there
have to
is.
wonder about that. And I hadn't really considered it until you mentioned this, but I don't have $500,000. I have savings. I don't have $500,000. I'd have to remortgage the house to afford this. So lawyers get rich. Once again, lawyers get rich. To save the person they love most in the world, they have to, I don't know where they would find the money, they have to get $500,000, otherwise he's going to be killed. Is it also true that Christian doctors weren't allowed to intervene in this case? Did you hear this?
I didn't hear that.
Okay,
No.
we're going to talk about that at greater length at another time, but it's just, I find it quite staggering. Staggering. I mean, it wasn't as though this man had made no movement. He'd been in the same position for a couple of years. It was just not like that at all.
And now that the case is over, he isn't in a vegetative state anymore.
No,
They've actually
that's right.
reduced that state. So.
We mustn't let this story go. There's a lot of questions to be asked. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Michael.